Every second, humanity creates more data than existed in all of history before the year 2000. Every photo you take, every message you send, every click, every search, every moment of video streaming across billions of devices. By the end of 2025, we will store 200 zettabytes of data. That's 200 billion terabytes. More bits of information than there are stars in the observable universe. And we have nowhere to put it. Our storage technologies are breaking under the weight of our own information. Hard drives fail in years. Magnetic tape degrades in decades. The energy required to keep this data alive is burning through 4% of America's electricity. We are drowning in our own success. But 4 billion years ago, nature solved this exact problem. DNA, the molecule that stores the blueprint for every living thing, is the most efficient data storage medium in the universe. A single gram can hold 455 exabytes. That's 455 billion gigabytes. Enough to store every movie ever made, every book ever written, every photo ever taken. 500 times over. And it lasts for millennia. Right now, in laboratories across the world, scientists are hijacking evolution's greatest invention. They're writing your data, your memories, your music, your entire digital life into the 4-letter alphabet of life itself. This is DNA data storage. And it's about to change everything. Let's speak plainly about the scale of the problem. In 2010, humanity created and stored 2 zettabytes of data worldwide. In 2020, 64 zettabytes. By 2025, just 5 years later, we will exceed 200 zettabytes. If you tried to store 200 zettabytes on Blu-ray discs, you would need a stack reaching to the moon. 23 times. If you downloaded it onto today's largest hard drives, 20 terabytes each, you would need 12.5 billion drives. The storage industry doesn't produce even a fraction of that many in a year. And it's accelerating. By 2025, there will be 15 billion Internet of Things devices, creating 90 zettabytes of data annually. The average person will have nearly 5,000 digital interactions every single day, once every 18 seconds, from waking to sleeping. To store all this requires data centers, enormous facilities the size of warehouses, consuming electricity at industrial scale, requiring constant cooling to prevent the servers from melting down. These centers now account for roughly 2% of global electricity consumption. That's approaching the power demands of entire countries. And here's the darker truth. Most traditional storage media isn't permanent. Hard drives, the spinning magnetic disks that power most data storage, face motor failure, magnetic degradation, and physical limits. Their expected lifespan? 3 to 10 years. After that, the motors fail. The magnetic domains randomize. The data dissolves into noise. Optical disks? The dye layers break down. The reflective coating corrodes. Even under ideal conditions, they're failing within 25 years. Solid-state drives, flash memory, no moving parts, seemed like the answer. But electrons migrate. Quantum tunneling, the same effect that makes semiconductors possible, slowly destroys the data. Temperature accelerates the degradation. Hot climates can reduce flash memory lifespan to just 1 to 3 years. We are creating information at exponential rates, storing it on media that degrades in years or decades. and consuming planetary-scale energy just to keep it from disappearing. This isn't sustainable. It can't be. Museums trying to preserve cultural heritage. Hospitals storing medical records that must last lifetimes. Financial institutions archiving transactions for regulatory compliance. Scientific institutions protecting foundational climate data, astronomical surveys, genomic databases. Everyone is facing the same crisis. How do you store forever on technology designed to fail? And that's when researchers looked to biology. DNA has been storing information for approximately 3.5 billion years. Every living thing on Earth, from bacteria to blue whales, from mushrooms to humans, stores its operating instructions in DNA. It's the longest-running information storage system in existence, and it has properties that no human technology can match. DNA is a polymer, a long-chain molecule built from 4 chemical building blocks called nucleotides. Scientists use the first letters of their names, A, T, C, and G. 4 letters. That's the entire alphabet of life. But those 4 letters, arranged in specific sequences, encode everything. Your eye color, your immune system, the shape of your brain, the structure of every protein your body will ever build. The genius of DNA is redundancy. It's not a single strand, but a double helix, 2 complementary strands wound together. Every A pairs with a T, every C with a G. If one strand is damaged, the other preserves the information. Under the right conditions, cool, dry, dark, DNA can survive for hundreds of thousands of years. Scientists have sequenced DNA from Neanderthal bones 40,000 years old, from mammoths frozen in Siberian permafrost for 60,000 years, from ancient horses 700,000 years old. No hard drive can make that claim. And the density, the amount of information you can pack into a given space, is beyond anything silicon can achieve. A modern hard drive can store about 10 terabytes of data and weighs about 700 grams. The storage density? Roughly 14 gigabytes per gram. DNA can theoretically store 455 exabytes per gram. That's 455 billion gigabytes. 32 million times more dense than the best hard drives. If you stored every piece of digital information humanity has ever created, all 200 zettabytes in DNA, it would fit in a container the size and weight of a couple of pickup trucks. Actually, scientists have calculated more precisely. You could fit the entire internet, every website, every video, every database, into a volume of DNA about the size of a sugar cube. The question isn't whether DNA storage is possible. The question is, how do we write it? In 2012, 2 geneticists at Harvard University performed an experiment that would change the future of information technology. George Church and Sri Kosuri took a 52,000-word book, Church's own academic text, and encoded it into DNA. The method was straightforward, at least in principle. Every piece of digital data, every file, every photo, every video, is ultimately stored as binary code, ones and zeros, millions or billions of them arranged in specific patterns. Church and Kosuri devised a simple translation scheme. They used DNA's 4-letter alphabet, A, T, C, G, to represent the binary digits. They broke the digital file into small chunks, converted each chunk from binary into a DNA sequence. Then they sent these sequences, just lists of letters on a page, to a company that synthesizes custom DNA strands. 2 weeks later, they received a vial in the mail. Inside, a tiny speck of synthetic DNA, barely visible. It contained their entire book. They could sequence that DNA, read it back using standard genetics equipment, and reconstruct the digital file with perfect accuracy. The book was alive, in a sense, or at least written in life's own language. But the encoding scheme was inefficient. They could only store 1.28 petabytes per gram. Impressive, but far short of DNA's theoretical limit. In 2017, researchers Yaniv Ehrlich and Dina Zielinski at the New York Genome Center achieved something remarkable. They developed an algorithm called the DNA fountain, named after the mathematical concept of a fountain code, that could pack data into DNA at unprecedented density. 215 petabytes per gram. 215 million gigabytes in a single gram of DNA, nearly approaching the theoretical maximum efficiency. To demonstrate, they encoded 6 files: a complete computer operating system, the 1895 French film Arrival of a Train at La Ciotat, one of the first films ever made, a computer virus, Claude Shannon's 1948 foundational paper on information theory, all of it compressed into 72,000 DNA strands, each 200 bases long. The DNA arrived from the synthesis company as a speck, barely visible in the bottom of a tube. Looked like dust, weighed practically nothing, but it contained their entire digital archive. They sequenced it, decoded it, every file reconstructed perfectly, not a single error. This wasn't just an incremental improvement. This was proof that DNA storage could work at industrial scale. But there was still a problem. A massive bottleneck that threatened to keep DNA storage locked in research laboratories forever. Writing the data, synthesizing the DNA, was excruciatingly slow. Traditional DNA synthesis works like this. You start with a short strand attached to a solid surface. You add chemical building blocks one at a time, first an A, then a T, then a C. Each addition requires a series of chemical reactions: coupling, capping, oxidation, deprotection. It's precise, it's reliable, and it's slow. Current state-of-the-art machines can synthesize about 320 million bytes per day. At that rate, writing just 1 gram's worth of DNA, remember that's 215 petabytes, would take nearly 2 million years. Clearly unworkable for practical storage. So, in 2024, researchers at Peking University tried something different. Long Qian and her colleagues were inspired by an unlikely source: the printing press. In the Renaissance, Johannes Gutenberg revolutionized information distribution by inventing movable type, metal letters that could be arranged, inked, and pressed onto paper. Qian's team applied the same concept at the molecular level. Instead of synthesizing DNA from scratch, letter by letter, they pre-made millions of short DNA bricks, each brick a specific sequence. These bricks had a property. They would naturally stick to complementary sequences on a template strand, like puzzle pieces finding their proper places. To encode data, they added an enzyme that attached methyl groups, small chemical tags, to some bricks, representing ones, while leaving others unmodified, representing zeros. The bricks self-assembled onto template strands. Then another enzyme copied all the methyl marks from the bricks onto the template. The template could be read out using standard sequencing machines. They demonstrated the system by encoding nearly 270,000 bits of information, high-resolution images of a tiger and a giant panda. The speed improvement?
potentially thousands of times faster than traditional synthesis. For the first time, DNA data storage was moving from laboratory curiosity to potential technology. But reading it back? That was already solved.
In September 2025, a team at the Southern University of Science and Technology in Shenzhen, China, unveiled something that seemed impossible. A DNA storage device you could actually use. Led by Jingyu Jiang and Jiangkai Li, they built what they called a DNA Cassette, a storage system inspired by technology from the 1980s. A design from the 20th century, Li explained, turned out to be a perfect way to organize 21st century molecular data storage. The cassette is a strip of nylon polyester film printed with black barcode patterns. The white spaces between bars are hydrophilic. They soak up DNA solutions like sponge. The black bars are hydrophobic. They repel liquid, creating physical barriers that prevent DNA from leaking between compartments. Each white space is a file location, an address, a storage partition. The cassette slots into a player that can automatically locate specific files, extract the DNA from that compartment, sequence it, and decode the data. The whole system operates with minimal human intervention. Just being able to automate these molecular workflows is impressive, noted Jeff Nivala from the University of Washington. Capacity: 36 petabytes per cassette. Enough to store roughly 9 billion high-resolution photos, or 7,200 complete human genome sequences, or every email sent by everyone in a small city for several years. Nivala was also honest about the limitations. I don't think it's practical today. There's still a big bottleneck as far as the cost and speed of DNA synthesis, which brings us to the economics. In 2024, storing 1 megabyte of data in DNA cost roughly $1,000. Compare that to magnetic tape, about 1 cent per gigabyte. That's 100 million times cheaper than DNA storage. But cost curves in biotechnology follow a pattern similar to Moore's law in computing. When a technology first emerges, it's expensive. As production scales up, prices collapse exponentially. Consider DNA sequencing. In 2001, sequencing a single human genome cost $100 million and took years. By 2007, 1 million. By 2015, 1,000. Today, under $500 in under 24 hours. A drop of 200,000-fold in 2 decades. Twist Bioscience, a leading DNA synthesis company, predicts a 10-fold cost reduction every 2 years. If that pace continues, DNA storage could reach cost parity with magnetic tape by 2030 to 2032. Other researchers are more conservative, but even the pessimistic projections suggest commercial viability within the decade. And on December 2nd, 2025, something shifted. Atlas Data Storage, a company in South San Francisco, announced the Atlas Eon 100, the world's first scalable DNA data storage service. Atlas is proud to be the only company in the world delivering storage products based on DNA technology at scale, said founder Bill Banyai. This is the culmination of more than 10 years of product development. The Atlas Eon 100 addresses the critical weakness of traditional storage: permanence. It stores data with advertised reliability of 99.999999999%. That's 11 nines, a level approaching theoretical perfection. The data is encoded in DNA, protected by a crystalline shell, metal-organic frameworks that shield the molecules from moisture, enzymes, and degradation. Under proper conditions, the data can last for centuries, perhaps millennia. The target customers: organizations that must preserve information for the very long term. Museums digitizing artifacts, governments archiving historical records, corporations storing mission-critical legacy data, research institutions protecting irreplaceable scientific data sets. The Eon 100 is not for everyday use. It's not for your laptop. It's not competing with cloud storage for active data. The write speeds, how fast you can store new data, are still measured in hours or days, not seconds. And retrieval, while faster than writing, isn't instant. This is archival storage, cold storage, information you must preserve but access rarely. But for that use case, it's transformative. Because the alternative is either massive energy consumption maintaining tape libraries, or accepting that some data will simply be lost. Imagine for a moment that DNA storage becomes cheap enough, fast enough, reliable enough for widespread use. What changes? Today's hyperscale data centers occupy millions of square feet. They consume gigawatts of electricity. They generate so much heat they must be cooled with industrial HVAC systems or even entire water treatment plants. Replace those with DNA. A facility the size of a large warehouse could store every bit of data humanity has ever created. It would consume a tiny fraction of the energy. DNA requires no power once it's synthesized and sealed. No cooling, no constant electricity to maintain magnetic domains or charge flash cells. The environmental impact alone is staggering. Data centers currently account for roughly 2% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Moving even a fraction of archival data to DNA could eliminate gigatons of CO2 over decades. But there are other implications, more subtle, more profound. We are living through what future historians may call the digital dark age. More information is being created now than in all previous human history combined, and most of it is disappearing. Old file formats become unreadable, websites vanish, personal photos stored on failing drives are lost when the hardware dies. Entire social media platforms delete accounts, removing years of someone's documented life. The ancient Egyptians wrote on papyrus and stone. We can still read their words 3,000 years later. We write on magnetic domains that randomize in a decade. DNA changes the equation, not just for corporations and governments, but for personal legacy. Imagine encoding your entire digital life, every photo, every message, every document, into a vial of DNA that could fit in your pocket, passing it to your children, who pass it to theirs. Your memories, preserved in the same molecule that made you. There's something poetic about that, using life's own storage medium to preserve the information that defines who we were. But DNA storage isn't just about preserving the past. It's about fundamentally blurring the line between the biological and the digital. Researchers are already exploring hybrid systems, storing data in living bacteria that replicate, passing information to their descendants, creating biological computers that process information using enzymatic reactions. For a century, we've built our information technology from silicon, from minerals mined from the earth, purified to extraordinary precision, etched with light into circuits measured in billionths of a meter. DNA suggests a different path. Information technology grown, not manufactured. Self-replicating, self-repairing, operating according to chemical logic instead of electronic. This isn't science fiction. The components already exist. The question is integration. How do we bridge these two worlds? Long Qian's printing press method hints at the answer. Instead of forcing molecules into patterns through brute chemical synthesis, you create conditions where they naturally assemble into the information you want. You guide molecular self-organization. This is how biology has always worked. Proteins fold themselves. DNA replicates itself. Cells organize themselves. There's no external engineer arranging every atom. The system follows rules that lead to order emerging from chaos. Perhaps the future of computing is learning to think like biology, not building machines that imitate life, but building machines from life itself. In December 2025, as humanity generates data faster than we can comprehend and struggles to store it on technology designed to fail, we stand at a curious moment. We have created a new sphere, a sphere of human knowledge and communication that now wraps around the planet like the atmosphere itself. Every second, millions of messages, billions of searches, trillions of sensor readings from devices measuring temperature, motion, location, everything. And we've been trying to preserve this torrent of information using rocks and metals, silicon and magnetic films that nature never designed for data storage. DNA is different. DNA was designed for data storage. 4 billion years of evolutionary optimization have created a molecule almost perfectly suited to encoding, preserving, and copying information. Every piece of information humanity has created could fit in a volume smaller than a grain of sand. Not theoretically, actually. Given current DNA storage technology, you could encode the entire internet, every website, every video, every database, in a space measured in cubic millimeters. There's a deeper truth here, a pattern. Every information technology eventually becomes obsolete. Stone gives way to papyrus, papyrus to paper, paper to digital, magnetic domains to solid-state transistors. But DNA is different. Because DNA isn't just a technology we invented, it's the technology that invented us. As long as there is life on Earth, there will be organisms reading and writing DNA. The technology won't become obsolete because it's woven into the fabric of biology itself. We're not replacing silicon with DNA. We're returning information to its natural home. There are challenges remaining. Writing speeds must improve. Costs must fall. Standards must be established. Security protocols developed. But the trajectory is clear. DNA data storage is moving from science fiction to science fact to commercial reality. We began by asking how to store the exponentially growing torrent of human information, how to preserve our collective memory beyond the lifespan of magnetic domains and flash cells. The answer was hidden in plain sight, inside every living cell, in the same molecule that's been preserving information since the dawn of life itself. DNA isn't just the future of data storage. It's where data came from in the first place. We're just finally learning to read and write in the universe's native language. This is Cosmic Canvas, where the most powerful technologies turn out to be the oldest ones. Until next time, remember, the molecule that made you may also preserve you.